hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, we're going to create some Christmas in July cards today, and we're using a couple items from Spellbinders. This is part of their, I believe it's called Celebrate the Season collection, and we're going to create some Christmas cards. Now, traditional colors, usually I think the time that I go outside the box with Christmas colors is when I create my Christmas cards in July. If I get closer to Christmas, I guess I'm more inspired with traditional holiday colors. So that's the fun thing about creating in July. We're going to be using this die set. This is a separate die set than this. There's two separate dies. This one here is called the Winter Welcome Sled, and it creates a real pretty sled. You also have some ice skates that you can layer together and create. And my camera is just going in and out of focus. I'm so sorry. So we're going to be using this, the Winter Welcome Sled. And then this, there were so many dies in this set that I had to put them on two of my magnetic sheets. I haven't had a chance to package them yet, so I have them on my magnetic boards. But this is, I think, going to be one of our Christmas flower staples, because there's so much in here. You get some cattails, which are fabulous, that are layerable. Beautiful pine needles. Get a real pretty holly leaf. A 2-layer poinsettia, which is fabulous. And then a whole bunch more florals on this side. This one here is the Holiday Blooms die set. And I'll link these both down below. But we're going to jump in and create some non-traditional colored cards. I don't know which one to start with. Let's start with our blooms first. We're going to start with the holiday blooms. And we're going to do a little bit of die cutting to create our first card. I'm using alabaster cardstock. All of these are Spellbinders Color Essential cardstocks. I want 3 flowers, so I'll die cut out 3 sets of these on my alabaster. My portobello, I'm going to use the I want to call it a willow, but it's a cattail. I'm going to die cut out my cattail with portobello. And then there's a layerable piece for the cattails that I want to die cut out with my timber cardstock. My holly leaf, that's going to be die cut out with fern. And then my pine needles, we'll die cut out a few of that with my rainforest cardstock. Now this little piece is a flower center. They're layerable, which makes it really nice, but I just want the dotted one. And I'm going to die cut this out with some fabulous foam, gold foam. This actually comes in a pack of silver and gold pop-up foam. And I'll link it down below, but it die cuts so nice. Now this is a pretty small die, you can see here. But believe it or not, those little circles will die cut out in this dimensional foam. So I want 3 flower centers, so I'll die cut out 3 of those. I'm going to get to die cutting, and then I will be right back. Okay, I had punched out my little flower centers. You can see how, I just can't believe something that dimensional can pop out so easy. That's what the pop-up foam. And again, it comes in a pack of gold and silver. I think it's going to be a staple for Christmas. So these are all of our elements. This is the color theme that I'm going for, kind of neutral toned. We're going to go ahead and put some glue on the base of our portobello cattails. And then all 3 of these are different. And so you would just find the one that coordinates. So we have 3 cattails. For my poinsettias, I zoomed it a little bit closer. Very easy to put together, but I do want to add a little bit of vintage photo distress oxide ink to the center of these flowers. And I'm just going to use my finger dauber for that. And then since we're at it, let's go ahead and I'm going to take my pine needles and I'm going to ink up. Better get my craft mat for this. So our flowers have a little bit of shading to them, and I do want to add a little bit of shading, not too much, with my pine needles distress oxide ink. Kind of blend these together. And then that's all the inking we're going to do for this card. So we'll put this aside, but I'm going to keep these out because we're going to make one more card. To make your flowers, it's very simple. You take your largest layer, add a dot of glue right down the center. And again, I'm making 3 flowers. Your next layer. I like to offset them a little bit. Just makes them a little bit more fuller. And you can add as many or just 2 layers if you want. Sky's the limit with these. Once I have them layered together, you just add a dot of glue right down the center. And then you can add your glitter foam. This adds dimension and it adds sparkle at the same time. Love the colors here. So those are our flowers and our leaves. Now for our background, we're going to do some embossing. So I'm going to zoom back out. Now for our background, we're going to do a little bit more die cutting and some embossing. We're going to start by embossing with the Spellbinders 3D. This is the TUFFED embossing folder. It creates like a pillow look. Love that. I think it's going to create a great background. I'm going to take a piece of chamomile color essential cardstock, and then I'm going to, this is a card front panel, so it's 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2. We're going to emboss this with our die cutting machine. I think it's going to be a real fun background. And then I wanted the number 25 on my card for today's projects. I'm going to use it for both my cards. And I'm using an older die set from Spellbinders. This actually came in a large Die of the Month club kit, I believe last year. But this is the Birthday Wishes for Everyone number die set. You have all the numbers, and then you have the first, you have happy. It's just a nice die set. I don't know if Spellbinder still has this. If they do, I'll link it down below. But I love the number shapes, and I thought 25 on my cards today would be really nice. For this card, we're going to die cut out 25 with some of the gold that we use for the center of our flowers, pop-up foam sheets. The backside's real bright, but you won't be able to see it. And it's no shed too. I don't think I mentioned that. So we'll die cut out 25. We'll put that with our embossed panel, and then I have a card front panel of alabaster. This we're going to trim down with some brand new Essential Diamonds dies. This is a whole layered set, and I think this is going to be versatile and fabulous. So I'm going to, I haven't had a chance to package anything. Been a little busy. I have a pile that I need to organize. But I'm going to take this die and die cut out a alabaster diamond. So once I'm done with this, I will be right back and we'll finish up our first card. So I have everything die cut, and then I went ahead and stamped my sentiment. This one I stamped with black ink on that same alabaster cardstock. It's Cherish the Season, and I used this stamp and die set. It comes with all these sentiments, and then it comes with a strip that you could die cut that out with. This is the Mini Christmas Greetings stamp and die set. But I thought a thin strip would go really good with my project. So, and speaking of thin strips, I have 2 thin strips. These are 1/2 inch strips of the Timber cardstock, the same color that we use for our cattails here. But this is the TUFFED embossing that we did. I just think it looks so neat how you can create like a pillow shape with this. I'm going to trim this down because I do want some of that timber on the left and right. So we're going to take a 1/2 inch off. We're going to take 3/4 inch off. Yeah. So this measures 5 1/2 inches tall by 3 1/2 inches wide. Next, I'm going to flip this around, and then we're going to add our timber strip. So it's kind of an odd color combination for Christmas, but I just think it's just warm and goldy. I think it's going to create a beautiful holiday card. So I trimmed off the excess, and then I'm going to add a little more adhesive on the back. And then this is going to go on my card base. My card bases today are the same alabaster white card bases. I just created a top folding. We're going to put this right down the middle. Now after we have this adhered, I'm going to take our diamond And we're going to add some foam adhesive behind this. No, let's not. Let's just directly adhere this a little bit towards the right. And then we're going to add some glue behind our 25. And then we're going to add our 25 to our card. Kind of went a little crazy with my glue. I think that looks lovely. Now we can go ahead and build our flower scene, and I am going to use some foam squares behind my flowers. Gosh, these turned out so pretty. I'm going to continue building my arrangement by doing a little tucking with the leaves. We'll just add our last leaf. And I just think that looks really pretty. Now for my sentiment, I'm not going to add any foam adhesive behind it, just using my tape runner. I'm going to tack this down. So once we have everything attached, I've just taped down my sentiment over that glitter. Love the way this looks. I am going to bring in some of my Spellbinders Color Essential Sequins. These are the Peach Opalescent. Really goes good with this. So let's go ahead and add a few here. Okay. And then that will finish off my card, my first card. And this one is using the holiday blooms. We're going to jump in with our Winter Welcome Sled. For my next card with the Winter Welcome Sled, I'm going to do a little bit of die cutting and embossing for this card also. My background, I thought we would bring in the Spellbinders 3D Leafy embossing folder. It is such a pretty, it's just kind of subtle, and I like that. I'm going to use this with, again, the same chamomile cardstock, and this is a card front panel. So I'll emboss this, and then for a little bit of a laciness, I'm going to be using the Romantic Slimline Borders from Spellbinders. This piece here creates a really pretty lacy border. And I'm going to layer these together because it'll cut out the bottom edge for me. And I will tape these down and run these through my die cutting machine. Since we are die cutting, I went ahead and die cut everything out to make things a little bit easier. Now for my sled, I basically used the same exact colors that we had did for our first card. The poinsettias were the alabaster and same leaves. We're going to use the colors, the same color scheme. Now for my, before we start the sled, we should doctor up our flowers, and I'll use my finger daubers, and again we're going to just add a little bit of brown to the flower centers. And I don't know if I'm going to use all three flowers, but these are different shape, of course. Let me zoom in a little bit. And then I do want to say that this die cuts out a little branch piece, and then when you die cut out your flower center, I did that with the same pop-up gold glitter. It die cut out these little itty bitty circles too, and it was, I'm not gonna, it was a challenge getting those little foam circles attached to this little branch. Now it was the only reason it was a challenge was because of the dimension of the foam adhesive. If you were to use gold mirror cardstock, it would be super easy to adhere. But since these kept wanting to roll on me, so oh see, it popped off too. But I wouldn't. Next time, I don't think I would do that because it did take a little bit of time too. Yeah, this was a little bit tough to adhere those little foam. I don't recommend that. Maybe you could use gold stickles. That would work out great. Probably way easier. So just a little heads up. So die cut out your branches with portobello, and you can die cut out your little berries in here with gold mirror cardstock. It'd be a lot easier, or use gold stickles. Now we're gonna go ahead and use our glue and create our flowers. And layering them is super easy. Okay, so we have a little shading. Now to create the sled, it's very, very easy. I'm gonna set this aside so I don't lose it. I cut out one with Portobello, and then I wanted a little dimension to my sled. So we're going to layer 3 of these together. And if you wanted to use your glue, you can. But for me, sometimes the tape runner is just quicker. Spellbinders has some white liner tape you could use. And if you layer these together, it does add some dimension. We'll flip this over. It gives us just a little bit of dimension. After we have this done, we're going to add our wood beams. And first we're going to add our base pieces. Let's add our middle piece first. This is going to go straight down the middle. Making sure it's straight, and then I'm going to add these pieces, and there is the base of our sled. How fun is that? I think that looks good. We're going to take the top of our sled, add some adhesive. This is going to go up on top here, and then that is our beautiful sled. Flowers are done. I did die cut out the 25 with alabaster and stamp my sentiment using my my mini Christmas greetings again. For this one I chose 2. I chose Merry Christmas from Our Home to Yours. I think that's real pretty. I did trim down about 1/8 of an inch strip of that gold pop-up foam, and then this is our beautiful romantic border. So pretty, huh? So let's build this card. Now I'm going to take a piece of timber cardstock, and I'm going to trim this down to 4 1/4. So it's basically 4 1/4 square. This is going to go on the top of my card base. My card base is the same alabaster cardstock. Okay, so there it is. Now what we're going to do is take our emboss panel, which I didn't show you, but it is gorgeous. Isn't that gorgeous? 3D. I'm going to trim this down as well while I have my paper trimmer out. I'm going to take an inch. Do you want an inch off? Yeah. So this measures 3 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/2 inches tall. And save those. You can use those for another card. And this one's going to go down the center. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down the center. When I center this, I make sure this is even. And then I'm going to take my border, add some adhesive behind here, and I'm going to mat this on top of my... We're going to trim off the excess of our border. Now we're going to add our sleigh. I decided not to use my gold foam because I didn't want to add any extra dimension. But I'm going to go ahead, let's position our sleigh where we want it, and then we'll add some adhesive behind our 25, and we'll tack this down. We might do some overlapping with this 25. I think that looks good. Now I'm going to flip over my sleigh, and we're going to add some adhesive behind here. And then tack this where we want it on our card. Now we get to the fun part. We're going to add our florals. I do want to pop these up with some foam adhesive also. think 2 flowers is plenty. I'm not going to use these, so we'll put those aside. So we just built our little floral. And then we need to add some shimmer. Okay, had to add a little sparkle with our peach opalescent sequins. And then that will finish off this card. So these are my cards today using the Spellbinders Celebrate the Season collection. I have a few more cards to share with you for Christmas in July. So stay tuned for that. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me.